Okay, so I want to wrap up the Orlando shooting, but I also want to start introducing a new sort of layer of depth to this. I mean, I've already sort of hinted the links between certain events and just other deeper information about, such as the guy who does the claims administration happens to administer the claims for various other hoax events as well. So what I want to do is link something from the Orlando shooting to the Brussels airport bombing, and I know they seem worlds apart because they're just two separate things in two different countries, but there is this link there, so I'll try and explain it as best I can. So I'm going to quickly play this news report because it contains two things. One thing to sort of round this section off and introduce the next section for when we go into the Brussels airport bombing. So here you go.
On the investigation of perhaps this gunman, Renee, what are you learning?
Well, Brooke, we're learning more from the company G4S Secure Solutions, which hired Omar Mateen in 2007. So the security company described to CNN this background check that was conducted in 2007 and a second check that was done in 2013. The check included a criminal record check. They also looked into prior employment, education, Social Security, credit report, driver's license, a drug test, as well as work references. This security company, G4S, says that the background check also included a psychological evaluation. Now, the specific evaluation is a test called MMPI. That stands for Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory Test. Now, it was described to me as an in-depth psychological evaluation. This security company says they then rescreened Mateen in October of 2013. They say they rescreen about 15% of their employees just as precaution each year, and he was one of those employees in 2013. But they didn't find any red flags, anything that would suggest that he shouldn't be working for them. I do want to note that this specific security company has a huge presence here in the United States. They have many federal contracts. The company provides service to federal buildings, airports, nuclear power plants. It's partnered with more than 90% of the U.S. nuclear facilities. So they do a lot of federal work, but they have confirmed to us that Omar Mateen did not work in any federal building. So again, Brooke, now we're just getting more insight about what kind of checks were done on Mateen before he got that position as a security guard.
Sure. No, it sounds like this highly reputable security company crossed their T's and dotted their I's. Renee Marsh, thank you for that. And Art, let me just turn.
As you can see from this report, they're playing that RTTV footage again. I mean, this time it's credited to a Stephen Fernandez, but the name is so vague that I can't seem to track that person down. But either way, you're seeing that footage again. Now, just like the balloons that I mentioned in the last video where they're effectively edited out so you don't see the happy birthday balloon, this piece of footage was edited too. So here it is in full.
Linked to ISIS on U.S. soil since the caliphate was declared. This attack in part was facilitated by the policies of this administration, President Obama and Secretary Clinton, that have allowed political correctness into the threat assessment. Today, I beg the White House, stop with the political correct one people linked to ISIS on U.S. soil since the caliphate was declared. This attack in part was facilitated by the policies of this administration, President Obama and Secretary Clinton, that have allowed political correctness into the threat assessment. Today, I beg the White House, stop with the political correct.
So what more do people need to see? That piece of footage on its own is enough to blow the whole thing out of the water, let alone all the other stuff that we've covered. Now, I know there's many people that have seen that before, and if that's your first time, I hope this just sort of wraps that up for you. So now I want to move on to sort of the next stage of these events, and whilst I want to cover the Brussels airport bombing next, I need to touch upon what that news report we've just watched is talking about, because it has massive importance to not just the Orlando shooting but many other things. Now, you might recall that it says that Omar Mateen used to work for G4S, which is a security company, a private security company no less, and it explains as to how big a firm it is, and it has federal contracts and it's involved in major dealings. It's not just some small-time security firm, it's a massive company. Now, as an American, you would think the G4S is limited to your country, but it certainly isn't. It actually originates from ours. And the thing is that I heard of G4S. I see the security vans that drive down the streets. They're the ones who take prisoners to and from court and prisons. And at the time, Theresa May, who is now our Prime Minister, was in fact the Home Secretary, which overlooks the police. So stories like this were cropping up whereby her husband was reportedly directly involved with G4S, so there was a massive conflict of interest. And then this particular story is talking about a guy called Tom Windsor, who supposedly oversaw a deal whereby the government paid G4S 200 million to deal with the police, so effectively privatising things. Now, privatising only takes you in one direction, which is a money-based system where service goes down but price goes up. And the thing is, if ultimately they want to privatise things, you will effectively get rid of the police and it will be replaced with something else. And as we've seen in the various attacks that we've had so far, it's all about getting the soldiers, the military style police, and that will be the way it will be funded instead. So it will be a private military based police system, and that is not good for anybody. So you might be thinking by this point as to how I'm making a link between G4S in America, G4S in the UK, and talking about moving on to the Brussels event. Well, in the Brussels event, not only was the airport blown up, but there was also the underground train as well. Now, I've seen from the videos that the people helping the supposed injured were G4S staff. So you've got this massive company that deals with government contracts that either A, has the assailant being related to G4S, or the security staff are G4S, or in this case they're helping the injured, so they've got to be in on it. And just like when I've shown you that drill, it says that they bring in all the people, emergency people, to assist in doing a drill to carry it out as real as possible. So of course the likes of G4S are going to be involved in drills. They have to be, because there is nobody else. So when they pull off these particular events, then they've got to be on it, they've got to play their part just as anybody else. Whilst on the subject of security, I don't want to forget the fact that Omar Mateen was in fact an actor and starred in a documentary called The Big Fix, an aptly named title, in which he just talks to a complete stranger and effectively reveals the truth of the world. It's got a deeper meaning to it. You think that he's just talking to a complete stranger, but you really got to listen to what he's saying, and he is effectively getting the truth out there, which is it's all about money, nobody cares. And oddly enough, he's talking about the BP oil spill, which, as per previous videos, Mr. Feinberg, he's the guy who administers the claims for the BP oil spill. So it all ties in. No matter where you look, something links to something else, and it's always like that with these things. So I'll play the clip, and I'll get on to the next event, which, like I say, is the Brussels one. So thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.
And with undercover cameras to see if she could pry more information from BP's night crew.
Morning.
Good morning. Do you have a badge?
No, I'm actually just wondering what's going on here.
Oh, it's for BP, like the oil spill.
Is there any way that I could talk to any of the people that are out there working?
Like, there's people out here, but they're all scattered all over the place. There's no one really to talk to, like any supervisor. No one gives a shit here. Like, everybody's just out to get paid. They're like hoping for more oil to come out and more people to complain, so they'll have the jobs. Because once people get laid off here, it's gonna suck for them. They want more disaster to happen, because that's where their money making is.
Yeah. It's all about the money, right?
All about the money. Exactly.